Hello YouTube, it's Dan Gage with my first non-harmonica video. It's December 24th, 2008, and you know, I don't just play harmonica and teach harmonica. I've got a lot of things that I'm interested in, and one of the things that I like to do during the holiday season is make eggnog from scratch. You may see eggnog in the store, and that may be good enough. You pour a little Captain Morgan's in it. For me, it's got to be from scratch. So I wanted to make a little video of how I make the eggnog. So I'm going to do a lot of editing so I can, because a lot of this takes a little bit of time. But to begin, we're going to show you the ingredients and tell you where you can get your own recipe. I use an old cookbook. If you look for a classic cookbook, there should be a recipe for eggnog in quantity, and it works just great. So let's begin with the ingredients. Alright, here's my setup of ingredients. This is pretty much all you need, folks. You need the recipe I'm going to make a half recipe today, but the recipe calls for a dozen eggs, a pound of sugar, 2 quarts of whipping cream, and that's really optional. I wouldn't use anything less than whole milk if you're worried about fat, because let's face it, folks. If you're going to make eggnog, health isn't really our #1 concern right now. And there's a choice of bourbon, rye, brandy, or rum, and I use a combination. We've got 2 examples of bourbon there. Got some rum, got some brandy, and it really depends on your flavor choice. I'm going to use the bourbon on the right, and I've got a dozen eggs, and there's my egg separator, so I can separate the eggs safely, and there's my cookbook. Alright, so find the cookbook, look up eggnog in quantity, and play along at home. Let's take a quick second to talk about eggs and egg safety. Eggnog is a raw egg dish, so your safety is of concern to me, but it's not I'm not telling you to cook with raw eggs. I'm telling you what I do, and you can make your own informed decision as to your safety with raw eggs. Please handle them carefully. Wash all your tools and equipment. Use an egg separator. Don't separate with the shells. That's potentially dangerous. And the other thing is this is a highly alcoholic drink, so children, this is not for you, and adults, be careful, because it's much more powerful. At least the way I make it's very powerful. Okay, so let's move on to step 1, and it's part of egg safety. So the first thing I do, just to hedge my bets to make things a little bit safer, is according to the Egg Council, they pasteurize egg products, raw egg products, by heating them 140 degrees Fahrenheit for 3.5 minutes. So I've got my timer set. I'm waiting for 3.5 minutes. Got waiting for the water to heat up with a thermometer. It's going to read 140. I'm going to try to keep that temperature. I'm going to put these eggs in for that time. It won't cook the eggs. You have to be very careful with this, that you hold the temperature. But what will happen is, if there is any bacteria, which is very unlikely, on the surface of the shells, it'll kill that bacteria. So we've got less to worry about during our raw egg process. That's not to say there's not a risk, but we're mitigating the risk, and it's a risk that I'm taking, but you can decide for yourself. There they are, getting ready, almost done. 20 seconds to go. Okay, so we've heated the eggs for 3.5 minutes at 140 degrees in water. We've rinsed them so that they cooled down and hopefully didn't cook. Now we're going to separate the eggs using our egg separator. I'm going to use this to separate the whites from the yolks. Wants to hold together. You have to be careful that the yolk doesn't slip through. There we go. Look at that, huh? Alright, so it's okay if you get some whites in with the yolks. Probably not a good idea to get yolks in with the whites. So I'm gonna go through these, and then when I'm done I'll tell you what to do next. Okay, now we've separated our egg whites from our egg yolks. We've got a nice bowl of egg whites that I'm going to put in the freezer for two reasons. One, we've got some time to wait, and it's the best place to avoid the growth of anything. If there was bacteria in there in the freezer, it's not going to have a chance to grow. So it's the safest place to store the egg whites for the couple of hours that we're going to wait. And also, when you're whipping them up later, when they're colder, they tend to want to whip up a little bit easier. So, got our egg whites going in the freezer, and our egg yolks are in the mixer. So we're doing a half recipe. That means we've used 6 egg yolks, and we're going to now mix. We're going to beat in a ½ pound of confectioner sugar. You want to make sure you beat the sugar in slowly. Don't just dump it in. So while you're mixing, just slowly add the sugar. Here's our sugary, eggy mix. 6 egg yolks, ½ pound of sugar. Now let's add some booze. So we add 1 cup of our chosen booze, and we mix thoroughly. So for our half recipe of eggnog, we've got our six egg yolks, 1 cup of the chosen liquor, or maybe a little more, and our ½ pound, of confectioner sugar has been blended. Now we need to let it sit for an hour. I usually put it in the fridge. Let it sit for an hour uncovered, and it supposedly gets rid of some of the eggy taste that people don't like. So we're gonna let it sit for an hour, and then we'll come back and we'll add more stuff. Okay, we're back after letting the egg mixture sit uncovered for an hour. It makes it taste less eggy if you do that. So just to review again, we've got 6 egg yolks in there, ½ pound of sugar, and 1 cup of bourbon, brandy, and rum mixture. So now we're going to add 2 more cups, beating constantly, of our desired alcohol, and the recipe calls for 2 to 4 cups for your full batch. So I would usually do 4 cups now of alcohol because I like to make it strong, but in this case it's a half batch, so I'm going to use 2 cups. But you can use, so for this you can use 1 or 2 cups of alcohol, and a quart of whipping cream. So let's add that now. Now I'm going to add 2 cups of my liquor of choice. In this case, 1 cup of bourbon, ½ cup each of brandy and rum. Actually, I'm doing a little less because my audience doesn't like it strong this year, but that's up to you. When I make a full batch, let's just say we don't end up with a whole lot of alcohol left outside of the eggnog. And now that that's been beaten together, now it says to put it in the refrigerator for 3 hours. Now, 3 hours is the bare minimum. I think this is better done overnight if possible, but if you're going to make it the same day, the longer it stays in the fridge, the more the flavors kind of work themselves together and you get a better end product. So I'm going to transfer this to a bowl and put it in the fridge for a while, and then when we're done with that, when it's time to serve, that's when we pull out the egg whites. We whip them up and we incorporate them on top. So that's it for right now. We'll be back around dinner time or dessert time when it's time to put the egg whites in. Whip the egg whites! So we have our whipped egg whites, and we have our eggnog mixture, and we're going to fold it in. So we're going to take a little scoop, and we're going to fold. Kind of give it a nice, and it ends up being a nice frothy thing on the top. So you do this when you're ready to serve, and you may be a little drunk.
This has now been changed to my side.
And people are talking about politics and rights, which we don't really worry about, because we're all about the eggnog. You kind of fold it in, and it stays on the top for quite some time. There you go. And you fold it in. And then you can pull out the cup, sprinkle a little nutmeg on top, and you've got your eggnog. I may have over-whipped the egg whites, but that's alright. Makes it frothy. And then tomorrow we're going to make French toast out of this shit. And it's going to be good. Like I said, it's important to be drinking while you're making the eggnog. And that pretty much completes the eggnog. It's a little chunky, but it'll even out by tomorrow morning. And we keep frothing.